kind of an inside
This
baseball
is
thing at
not
the time,
fake
but it's starting
news.
to look like it may turn out to be important. Late last week, the New York Times refused to issue a correction, and they let it be known that they were saying no when they had been asked for a correction. The thing they refused to correct or retract was this follow the money piece that they had just published about the chairman of the Trump for President campaign. According to offshore banking records reviewed by the Times, right up until just before he joined the Trump campaign as its chairman, business entities tied to Paul Manafort appear to have been deeply in debt to business entities tied to two Putin-connected oligarchs. One of them was this aluminum oligarch, Oleg Deripaska, who, according to the AP, once signed
mafia.
Paul Manafort to a $10 million a year contract to promote the interests of Vladimir Putin's government around the world, including in the United States. The other oligarch was the other person to whom Paul Manafort reportedly owed money was a business partner of Dmitry Firtash. Dmitry Firtash was a major backer of the pro-Putin political party in Ukraine that Paul Manafort worked for years. Putin's Russian state-controlled gas company, Gazprom, cooked up one of those oligarch specials for Dmitry Firtash and his business partner, which shoveled billions of dollars to them by letting them take a cut out of every single fart worth of natural gas that Putin and Gazprom sold to Ukraine. These guys then repaid Putin for that multi-billion-dollar favor by funding the pro-Putin political parties and politicians that Putin wanted in power in Ukraine. So it's nice work if you can get it. I'm sorry I said fart. A few days ago, we reported on a dismissed U.S. lawsuit that claimed that one of the ways those guys laundered Putin's money before sending it back to Ukraine to buy Putin a government there was that it was funneled into and out of New York City real estate deals. The showcase deal of that alleged scheme was an $850 million plan to tear down and redo this hotel, the Drake Hotel in New York City. This would have been a mammoth real estate deal if it happened. The people who were reportedly going to be in on it were Dmitry Firtash, the oligarch guy who was in on the gas deal in Ukraine that Putin set up for him, Dmitry Firtash, and Paul Manafort, and a guy who made his career in New York real estate working for Donald Trump's dad. That was the group that was going to remake the Drake Hotel, make it into a Bulgari
Russian mafia wanna kill, destroy USA.
Now, for a variety of reasons, that huge deal never happened. But the New York Times reported last week that as of December 2015, right before Paul Manafort became chair of the Trump campaign, documents that the Times reviewed showed that business entities related to Paul Manafort owed business entities related to Dmitry Firtash millions of dollars, like nearly $10 million. Now, Paul Manafort, after the Times published that story, Paul Manafort was reportedly upset with that reporting. He wanted a retraction of that reporting, but the Times is standing by its story, and that is starting to seem like it's getting very important, because now there's this. Dmitry Firtash, the oligarch who Manafort was going to do that $850 million Drake Hotel deal with, Dmitry Firtash, has been popping up in U.S. news off and on for a few months now because the U.S. Justice Department has been trying to extradite him to the United States to stand trial. This is a fairly baroque case. It involves an alleged plot to bribe government officials in India to allow him to mine titanium in that country that he would then sell to Boeing for airplane parts. This is a case that's been going on for a while, but now, as of last night, the Justice Department has just made some new filings in the case against Dmitry Firtash, Paul Manafort's old reported business partner. And these new filings from the Justice Department make two new, very serious claims. One, which was first reported by the Associated Press, is the Justice Department allegation that Dmitry Firtash wasn't just trying to pay bribes in India, he was trying to pay bribes in the United States as well. That's the first new claim. The second new claim that the government is making, the one that's rattling around like a ricochet inside a shooting range, is newly reported tonight from NBC News. According to NBC's review of these new court filings from the Justice Department, the Justice Department is now alleging that Dmitry Firtash, the major funder of the pro-Putin political party that Paul Manafort worked for, the Putin-connected oligarch to whom Paul Manafort had contested but reportedly very large financial dealings right up until the time he joined the Trump campaign. The Justice Department now says that Dmitry Firtash is not only wanted in the United States, they now say he is a high-ranking figure in the Russian mob. Quote, the Department of Justice has identified a former business associate of ex-Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort as an upper echelon associate of Russian organized crime. Quote, the government says that prosecuting Firtash and his co-defendant in this alleged scheme will disrupt this organized crime group and prevent it from further criminal acts within the United States. Now, this is the stance, as of right now, of the U.S. Justice Department. And this is bad news for oligarch Dmitry Firtash, obviously, right? This is also troubling news for the White House. If the investigation into the Trump campaign and its potential ties to Russia has now taken a turn toward exploring financial connections and business arrangements, right? Well, a direct financial and business and political link between the Trump campaign chair and someone who the U.S. government is now naming as a major figure in Russian organized crime, that is an unsettling thing. At least that must be an unsettling thing for the White House. Now, when it comes to these alleged linkages, Paul Manafort is distancing himself from Dmitry Firtash. He's playing down that Drake Hotel deal that they tried. He's telling NBC News there was no real business relationship between them. He says, quote, there was one occasion where an opportunity was explored, nothing transpired, and no business relationship was ever implemented. Well, the Justice Department is after this guy now. He faces up to 50 years in prison and confiscation of all his many, many, many assets if he's convicted. And because he has all the money in the world, courtesy of the very nice business deals that Putin's Gazprom set him up with, Dmitry Firtash has used some of his gazillion dollars to hire a top-shelf array of the most expensive American lawyers that money can buy, as the U.S. Justice Department tries to extradite him. And so it's going to be a fight. And the fight will be between his very, very high-priced lawyers and the criminal division of the U.S. Justice Department. And the criminal division of the U.S. Justice Department, until now in this administration, has been run by an acting director of that division, is left over from the Obama administration and left over from the George W. Bush administration before that, career person. But now the Trump administration has picked somebody new for that job. Running the criminal division of the Justice Department is a huge deal. It is a huge and important job. The Trump administration's pick for that job is Brian Benczkowski. Now, thanks to reporting this week in the New York Times and what came out in his confirmation hearing yesterday, we now know that Brian Benczkowski, after he left the Trump transition, he went to work representing a Russian bank called Alfa Bank. Alfa Bank is linked very closely with Vladimir Putin. Alfa Bank featured prominently in a controversy last year concerning unexplained electronic communications during the presidential campaign between computer servers connected to Alfa Bank and computer servers connected to the Trump organization. Well, we learned at Benczkowski's hearing this week that at the time that his time working for Alfa Bank isn't some long-standing relationship that's vestigial and he now has to explain it going back years. He started working for Alfa Bank this year. After all that controversy about Alfa Bank and the Trump organization during the campaign. He started working for Alfa Bank after he left the Trump transition earlier this year. We also learned that he was still working for Alfa Bank when the Trump administration asked him to take this very high-level job at the Justice Department. And we learned that if he is confirmed to run the criminal division of the Justice Department, he said he will recuse himself from matters involving his client, Alfa Bank, directly, but he will not say if he'll recuse himself from any investigations, any prosecutions related to any ties between Russia and
all of them.
The Trump campaign. In April, he found out he was up for this job of leading the criminal division at the Justice Department. He found out that in April. He stayed on representing this Russian bank until June, until the day he was formally nominated. Head of the criminal division at Justice is a really big freaking deal. For example, that's the job that Robert Mueller used to have before he was FBI director. Is there really no one available for that criminal division job who did not represent a giant Putin-aligned Russian bank until last month? Especially given how many existing Justice Department prosecutions the Trump-Russia investigation is now apparently picking up like iron filings clinging onto a magnet. There's a lot going on right now. Just tonight on this show, we've got 3 different experts lined up for this show, all here live to talk about this civil rights and military readiness bomb that the president just threw on transgender service members. We've also got Senator Amy Klobuchar here tonight live to talk us through what the Republicans are doing on health care tonight as they continue to try to...
Wake up, America. Wake up before it's too late.